this guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name's Matt Striker. His name's Joe Pisapia, and this is the place for those that want to dominate. Two huge games on the docket today, and as we understand it, outside of the Super Bowl, these are the two most wagered football games. We're going to help you fade the public. At SportsGrid and at SportsGrid TV, those are our social media handles. Do yourself a favor. Double check that you're following along all the great programming here on SportsGrid. It never stops. Joey P, my friend, this is Christmas for you. I said at the top of hour one, I'll reiterate it here at top of hour two. Just a great time to be an overall sports fan, but a sports wagering fan as well. What we're going to do here is we're going to give the top 5 2025 turnaround teams. And I think number 3 and number 1 may surprise some people, but I'll let you get yourself to that. First and foremost, are you excited for today, Joe?
I am excited for today, man. Championship Sunday is one of the great football days. Like I said, it might be better than Super Bowl Sunday. You get 2 games, a lot less pomp and circumstance, just a lot more football. And I think that's always a good time. And I think you've got some great stories. You got in-division rivals. You got a resurgence of a Washington team that has not been good since, I don't know, the early 90s, really, where you had this much hope. I know there was that little blip on the radar a few years ago with Robert Griffin and everybody where we thought things were going in the right direction. It was a tease. I don't think Jaden Daniels is a tease, everybody. And for the Eagles fans, this is a resurrection of this team that was really going in a bad direction last year. All hope was lost. And then a little resurgence, a little acquisition of a guy named Saquon Barkley. And guess what? Things go better. And then you got the old stalwarts, right? This is what you wanted, right? You had the Brady Manning era. Now you got the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And just like Brady and Manning, it was pretty one-sided for the most part, most of the time. Peyton Manning eventually did break through. A couple moments there for him, but it was a lot more Tom Brady doing better than Peyton Manning for many of those contests. We'll see. Maybe this is the breakthrough for Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills, another team, too, has not been back to a Super Bowl since the 90s. And guess what? Did not go well for them in the 90s. Things, unfortunately, did not go well for them. But this is your opportunity. This is your one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, or so I've been told, Matt.
Right. Yes. If only your initials were different. But I like what you're doing there. I like you bringing it all together here. Now, when we talk about these opportunities that are put in front of these players, this is actually, a great segue into some of these turnaround teams. Now, let's see, Joe, you're the master of this. Let's see you marry these two thoughts together. Let's marry the games of today with what the teams need to turn around next season. Let's go. Who's number 5?
Well, the Washington Commanders are a perfect example, right? A team that last year nobody was looking for. And what happened? Now they're on the precipice of a Super Bowl, right? Washington Commanders, Sam Howell was playing quarterback. The ownership was the pits. Head coach wasn't, getting it done. New coach, new quarterback, new owner. Starts from the top, baby. If you got everything working from the top, it trickles down. You make good decisions. You put good people on the field to lead and play and put systems in place. Guess what? You could turn things around very quickly. So here's a moment of hope here for some organizations that either have been losing a lot or haven't won in a very long time. The Carolina Panthers, number 5. Let's start with them. They have the coach. I think Dave Canales is a really good football coach. You saw what he did with Geno 2 years ago. You saw what he did a year ago with Baker Mayfield. And now you saw him somehow resurrect Bryce Young in the second half. Bryce Young was playing loose. He was playing confident. Is the size still an issue? Sure. The offensive line is the problem here. We got to get better there. They signed Chuba Hubbard to a long-term extension. He played very well last year. So you have your coach, you have your running back. It's funny, as soon as they got rid of Deontay Johnson, this team really kind of took off offensively, didn't they? He seemed to be a bit of a problem child in retrospect. Here we go. So now you got Xavier Legette, you got Jalen Coker, you've got some pieces to work with here. You need a little bit more on the playmaker side. You need some help on the defensive side of the ball too. So they're not a finished product next year by any stretch of the mean. But the Carolina Panthers also were far more competitive, especially against good teams last year as the season went on. They covered a ton of games, and that's one thing you can look at, too, when you're trying to say, okay, who's a team that can be better next year? Look for the teams that covered spreads the year before. Those are teams that are getting more competitive. Those are teams that are not quitting on their head coach. Those are teams that could very well the next season start to play better. And I think the Panthers are one of them. Hopefully they've got the quarterback in place. I think Bryce Young is a guy who can take you, if he stays healthy, to the playoffs, but you need some more help around him. Playmakers, offensive line, a little help on the defensive side. And next thing you know, the Carolina Panthers could be competing for a division. Let's be honest, it's pretty wide open every year.
All right, let's move on over to East Rutherford, New Jersey. Said no one ever. But if you're a Giants fan, you realize that Neighbors and Tracy are the beginning. Who's going to be your quarterback? The Giants check in at number 4 on the top 5 potential turnaround teams for the 2025 season. Joe?
It's really that West Rutherford. That's where all the cool kids hang
Yeah.
out. Have you ever heard people mention the words West Rutherford to you, ever?
Never. And I've lived here my whole life. No.
Does it even exist? I mean, I live in New Jersey, and I'm not even sure if West Rutherford is what. Somebody Google that for me. Is West Rutherford a place? I've never heard anyone say that. I've never seen a sign for it.
Rutherford
It's East
by
Rutherford.
implication.
Is there just a Rutherford?
Or is
These
it
are
just
important
false?
questions.
I think that might be the case.
know.
Anyway.
I've been told by the producer of my year, West Rutherford. And that's where Matt and I are going to take a vacation after the Super Bowl. The Giants, they turn things around. I know Giants fans. It sounds impossible from what you saw last year. They need a quarterback, and they need it in the worst way. And you have Malik Neighbors. You have Tyrone Tracy, right? You did a good job in the draft last year actually getting some offensive pieces.
Sure.
You absolutely need all offensive line help. It seems like I'm a broken record talking about this, but you wonder why offensive linemen are going so high in the drafts and getting such huge contracts. This is why. And you've got to figure it out fast because this regime is on thin ice. So if you're the New York Giants, you get that quarterback in place. This defense took some injuries in the second half, but on paper, they're a pretty good defense. If you dropped in a capable veteran quarterback to this group, I think the Giants could turn things around. I don't know where the Cowboys are going to be next year. We'll see how the Eagles come out of today. The Commanders and the Eagles look like two teams you're going to have to look up on. But if you could get somebody who is a strong veteran presence quarterback, again, if I dropped a Matthew Stafford in with the Giants next year, I think they're a 10-win team. I really do. Now, that's not going to happen. But I'm just giving you a for instance of if the Giants can get creative at the quarterback position and find somebody here, I don't think it's going to be in the draft. I think it's going to be a veteran somewhere else. So who knows where things lie, but I think this is a team that could turn things around quickly with just a change at quarterback and more stability at that position.
Give me a win total for the Giants if Kirk Cousins were under center.
And not throwing picks, another year removed, 9. I think they could be 9 win team if that were great for them.
All right, let's move on to these New England Patriots here. New head coach, got the quarterback. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, I mean, you've got the coach, you got the quarterback, and again, you've got ownership that's committed. This is the special sauce, right? These are the three pillars of an NFL organization. And right now, I'm looking at Drake May as they've got the goods. He showed me everything I needed to see. Another team desperately needs to protect the quarterback with the offensive line. They have an early pick. It would not shock me if they went for the best tackle in the draft. It would also not shock me if Mike Vrabel went for the best linebacker in the draft. I think we all know who we're talking about, the kid from Penn State. So this is a situation. One of these things are going to happen there, most likely. If Abdul Carter's the guy, if they're going for the big offensive tackle, whatever it is, that's probably where they're going to go in the draft. They've got more cap room than anybody else in the NFL. That's dangerous. Historically, they have not spent it correctly. This is the time to get on the horse. This is the time to look for the T. Higgins of the world. This is a time where you start to look for more talent and playmakers, because let's be honest, since Gronk, and even before that, maybe the Randy Moss era, look, Edelman's a great player, but you need more playmakers if you're the New England Patriots. The league has passed you by. You can't just win with systems. You have to have these guys who break big plays, who have incredible speed and ability to change the dynamic of a football game. And the Patriots have not had that player since Rob Gronkowski was gone. And when you look at the historical big-time moments of the Patriots, it's when they were doing so well with the Randy Mosses, and they have Edelman, and they have Gronk, and they have all these pieces, and you go, oh my God, this team can't be stopped. Yeah, that's what you want to get back to. So those are three teams right now. We've got two more to get through that could potentially turn things around. Another one is in this division, Matt, believe it or not, and another one just got a new head coach. In fact, these three top teams here that we're talking about all have new head coaches, and that might be a start to turning things around. So when we come back, we're going to talk about number 2 and number 1 on this list of teams that can turn it around in 2025.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Carrying over from the last segment where we were listing the top 5 teams that can make the quickest turnarounds in 2025. We gave you the teas. We have the top 2 teams here. Joe's going to give those to you, and then we're going to go into some dynasty talk, Joe. So let's go.
All right, here you go. Brace yourselves, everybody. Number 2, the New York Jets. They already got the right head coach. Aaron Glenn is great. This is a terrific hire. The defense, personnel-wise, is good. This team quit when Robert Saleh got fired. This team became dysfunctional the more the cancer of Aaron Rodgers infected this locker room and infected this team. You can't have young stud players like Garrett Wilson wanting out of town. So what do? You're Aaron Glenn, you come in, you look for a mobile quarterback, because take a look at the league, right? Take a look at the 4 teams playing today. All 4 of those quarterbacks share the same thing, right? They're mobile. They can get out and move in space. All 4 of them. Is that a coincidence that they're all playing for a chance at the Super Bowl? I don't think so. It's where the league is right now. So if you're ready, New York Jets, go get Justin Fields. He's young. He's got an opportunity to get back together with Garrett Wilson, maybe the best version of himself with Ohio State. Those 2 guys back together. You run the hell out of the football with Breece Hall, right? You run the hell out of the football with Justin Fields. You play defense. You make games ugly in the trenches. You play D, and you win. And I think the Jets can do that. And I think a new voice, a new leadership, and just sometimes cutting out the cancer is the best way to start getting cured of it. And I just think you're in a spot here where the Jets are now an opportunity to do that, to turn the page. And dare I say, the Patriots and Jets are going to be very competitive next year. So the Dolphins better be quaking in their boots, and the Buffalo Bills better get their Super Bowl now, because I think those 2 teams, I think this division might be very different in 2025.
All right, now the number 1 team poised for the quickest turnaround from 2024 to 2025 is
the Chicago Bears. Look, Caleb Williams held the football way too much, tries to do too much. Can Ben Johnson knock that out of him? I think he can. Ben Johnson is a great offensive mind, and I think that's the kind of guy you want developing a quarterback. You've got the blueprint, because Jared Goff was a first overall pick. Remember all those years ago where Jared Goff was a number 1 overall pick? You remember this? Because I do. And Jared Goff was seen as a disappointment. And then Jared Goff got with Ben Johnson and this Detroit Lions offense. And look at what's happened in the last couple of years to Jared Goff. One of the, I think, most reliable QBs you could look. I didn't understand he threw some picks last week and turned the ball over. Okay, fine. We're getting to the playoffs. We're in a good spot here. Now, it's a very competitive division. The Vikings are going to be good. The Lions are going to be good. The Packers are going to be good. So the Bears, fortunately for them, they have some talent on the defensive side. They have some talent on the offensive side. They've got Rome Odunze. They got Caleb Williams. I think some strategic moves here in the offseason can put them in a better spot. What they haven't had is a good offensive mind to lead this offense out of the old school Bears mentality. They haven't had it ever, maybe. And now this is an opportunity for the Chicago Bears to finally catch up with the rest of the league and realize it's 2025 and you can't keep playing games like it's 1990 anymore. You just can't do that and win in the modern day NFL. And Ben Johnson is the guy to take them out of that mindset and into the present. So the Bears could be a quick turnaround in 2025.
All right, let's turn around now and move to my wife's favorite segment, which is time to buy low. My wife just absolutely loves a bargain no matter what. And there are some good names on this list, some that you would not expect for dynasty buy low targets. Joe, I'll let you walk us through this.
Well, let's start with some love for Mark Andrews, okay? Because a lot of hate for Mark Andrews this week. Mark Andrews had a terrific finish to the season. Let's not forget Mark Andrews was in a serious car accident when the year started.
Right.
Started the year off slow. We never really got a lot of information about what was going on with Mark Andrews. People wanted to drop him by week 6, and then all he did was catch touchdowns in the second half. Now, I don't think he's going to be back with the Baltimore Ravens, and I think the negativity right now is a perfect time to buy low on Mark Andrews. Why? Because he's still a really good player, and he's got a lot of football left, and he can go to a team, any of these teams that are, around that playoff hunt, and make a huge difference. Imagine dropping a Mark Andrews with the Houston Texans as a secondary weapon. That would be a pretty good situation for him. He's going to end up somewhere who could even be the New England Patriots, right? They could certainly use a weapon like a Mark Andrews, right? You bring in T. Higgins and Mark Andrews, all of a sudden the New England Patriots look real different, right? So Mark Andrews is going to land somewhere with value on a team that's going to be competitive, that's got cap space. And there's a bunch of those teams that are out there. So this is a great opportunity where people are down on Mark Andrews. There's a bad start, a bad finish, but what you saw in those last, 8 weeks or so, even through the first round of the playoffs, was very good. So Mark Andrews to me is a buy. Will he have a different jersey? Probably, but I still think he has a lot of value in 2025.
All right, a buy on the dip candidate there. Joe, you mentioned the Chicago Bears, the team poised for the quickest turnaround from season over to season, last year to next year. Is there a wide receiver that we should be looking at there?
Yeah, it's Rome Odunze. And I think Rome Odunze is in a spot where Keenan Allen's going to probably leave in free agency, and now Rome Odunze can really shine. You didn't get a lot out of him in the first season, but look, it comes back to the same thing. This was a bad situation, bad coaching, bad systems. You fired the OC, you fired the head coach. Let's see what Rome Odunze can do with Ben Johnson as coordinator. I think big things. This could be a huge, you might buy him too cheap, but I think he's worth purchasing regardless. Like Rome Odunze's future could be really bright in this offense.
All right, a couple more wide receivers on the list. Let's go out of Chicago where it's freezing, go to Miami where it's nice and warm. Who do we like?
Well, look, if Tyreek Hill really wants out, then Jalen Waddle is poised to have a huge year. After a down 2024, an injury-riddled campaign in 2023, people are getting a little sour on Jalen Waddle. He's still very young. This is a guy that had 100 catches in his rookie year. This is a guy that could come out there and just blow the doors off like he did 2.5 years ago. Jalen Waddle is still very talented. Jalen Waddle is still in a really good offense. And Jalen Waddle, especially without Tyreek Hill around, could be a huge win year over year. So Waddle, another guy that I'd be looking for in 2025 as a buy low. I think dynasty managers are getting a little impatient, and that's a perfect time to pounce and try to add and beef up your own wide receiver roster.
All right, continuing with wide receivers in warm weather climates, this particular wide receiver will be entering his sophomore year, but Joe does not fear a sophomore slump. Who is it and why?
Fun fact, you've put Marvin Harrison Sr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. stats in their rookie year together. They're almost identical. I don't think any of us would be calling Marvin Harrison Sr. a bust in the NFL. So it's too soon to call Marvin Harrison Jr. a bust in the NFL. It just did not really come to fruition that first year. I'm not even sure if Kyler Murray will be around with this team next year. All I know is that Marvin Harrison right now, not the rookie season we hope for, but still a bright future ahead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports. Today, we've been talking about all of these players that we want to buy low on. We've been talking about all of this prospect for next season. But, of course, we must avoid the pitfalls. And Joey P and the gang have been nice enough to put together a list of players to avoid in 2025. A couple of names on this list may surprise some. Joe, take it away.
Joey P and the Gang, one of my favorite late 70s, early 80s dance groups. Just tremendous work by them. That'd be really, when you look back. No, not a fan. All right. I mean, not a big dance music guy. You just, look, Matt Stryker back in the day.
Color Me Bad when I was younger.
Oh, so now we're jumping to the mid 90s here. There you go. Early 90s, mid 90s. I could see Matt Stryker with the pencil thin mustache. Eighth grade
never
dance.
The pencil thin mustache. Full on goatee. Okay. Never a mustache. I was big into wrestling, so pencil mustaches were reserved for bad guys.
An earring, right? I mean, they had to be an earring.
Yes, absolutely. An onk on the left side. Just
the one on the left side. Okay. All right. Let's start with Cooper Kupp. I don't know how many earrings he's got, but let's assume one. Let's just go that. He finishes wide receiver 39 this year in standard leagues in full point PPR, where Cooper Kupp was a guy that you were, typically coveting. Cooper Kupp, unfortunately, wide receiver 38. It just did not come to fruition for him again, and I think it's just the toll of the big seasons really just coming home to roost. And I think what's going to happen, which is very dangerous, is he's entering his age 32 season. And I'm going to throw a couple of names at you, right?
Okay.
Amari Cooper. How about DeAndre Hopkins? How about, Deontay Johnson, who got kind of moved around a lot. These are wide receivers, right, that immediately when they went to other teams, everybody started to get excited about the possibility of what they might be able to do. Or maybe they just need a change of scenery. Right. I don't think they need a change of scenery. I think Cooper Kupp, unfortunately, is going to get a change of scenery. And I think it's going to lull people into a false sense of security. But if you look at the games played and you look at what he did down the stretch, which was, you could say, it's just Puka Nakua's emergence as a star. But I think it's also the decline of Cooper Kupp. And I think that's what's being suppressed a little bit in terms of the story. So I'm looking at Cooper Kupp as a guy that I don't think is going to be around next year. I think they're going to move on from him. I think he's going to end up somewhere else. There's going to be a lot of buzz about it, a lot of positive training camp. We love Cooper Kupp and what he brings to this team. And of course, he's a really great football player and he plays really hard. I just don't think for fantasy we should be buying 32-year-old wide receivers at this stage in their career, especially ones that have had trouble staying on the field the last 3 seasons. So for me, I'm out on Cooper Kupp in 2025.
All right, as we announced Robert Saleh is, I believe, the defensive coordinator returning to San Francisco, we focus on San Francisco here, and there's a particular player that Joe wants no part of. Who is it and why?
Well, Deebo Samuel finishes wide receiver 44 in full point PPR. That is definitely not where you want to be finishing. A really miserable end to the season. And I mean, you want to make arguments. Well, it's just a lot of injuries. Brock Purdy's injury, you had injuries to Christian McCaffrey, and the offense wasn't the same. Okay, all that stuff is fine, except next year, eventually you get Brandon Ayuk back. You saw Jawan Jennings. You drafted Ricky Pearsall. I think Deebo's another one of these guys who fits that bill where he could be somewhere else, and people will start to want to buy back in. But Deebo Samuel, throughout his entire career, has had trouble with health. Sure, the right system might give him a little bit of a bump, but I don't think right now that's a player we want to be buying in on. And if he stays with San Francisco, I think that field is incredibly packed with too many options if they try to hold everybody together. And I think that would hurt his fantasy value even more. A lot of people are buying back in, I think, in 2025. I don't think I'm going to be one of them.
All right, let's move over to Minnesota, where the consensus is that it will be McCarthy's team. How does that bode well for a veteran running back?
Well, here's the thing. It's hard to knock Aaron Jones and what he did this year. He was a very solid running back. He finished his RB 15, but he did hit the magical age of 30. He's going to be 31 next year. And he is not Derrick Henry. He is not Saquon Barkley. He is not prolific in that sense. So when you do have these running backs that hit this age, typically that's the time to get out. And Aaron Jones has been one of these guys for years that never got enough respect, kept finishing as an RB1. People would disrespect him. The next year he would finish as an RB1. His run with the Packers was great. It was one of the all-time best undervalued, underappreciated backs in fantasy in the last 10 years. But there comes an end to all of these things. And I think the Vikings are going to look to get younger at the running back position. It's a really good running back class. I think they're going to draft somebody else. And I think Aaron Jones, unfortunately, is a guy that now he has hit that expiration date. I'd rather be out a year early than a year too late on Aaron Jones. So again, in 2025, I'm going to be out on Jones. I'm going to be out on Cooper Kupp and out on Deebo Samuel. I think there's other guys to be more excited about. We're excited about the props this week. So let's look at the fantasy lines and the Vegas lines, try to make some cash.
guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia with you here. And yes, social media, we hear you. The segment is upon us. You guys can all relax at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. For those that aren't following along, it's time now for the fantasy over-under on arguably the most important weekend of the year, save for the Super Bowl. Joe, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through all the name players. We're going to talk about the individual props. We're going to go over or under. Let's start with Saquon Barkley and his rushing yards total. It's set at 129.5. Open up your brain and let's see what's going on.
Well, look, in the last 24 hours, it's come down a lot of markets to 125.5. There you go, everybody. There's your discount.
There's your discount.
It's still a huge number. Well, because I think the 129 people are going, this is ridiculous. And it is. But 125.5, he has crossed over 3 of the last 4 games. So he has just turned it on to a whole different universe. Now, the game he did not go over this was in that wild card game against the Green Bay Packers where he hit, 119. So he was still pretty close to this number anyway. I know it's a huge number. I know it's insane. I still got to go over. I just have to. At a certain point here, you have to just look at what's in front of you, which is Saquon Barkley being all world, playing out of his mind, knowing this is what he's a very motivated fella. He is a guy that you know why he left New York. You know why he went to the Eagles. You know he's ready for this moment. He's working towards this moment. He is singularly focused. Washington is not good at stopping the run. I do think the investment-wise, you have to invest in the over here. Now, I keep coming back to the same point. If Washington is going to win this game, it's an under. I don't think there's a scenario here where you hold somehow Saquon Barkley under 100 rushing yards in this game and the Eagles win. Now, can he get to 125 and the Eagles lose? Maybe. If he gets to 130, 140, forget it, man. This game is done. There's no way that I think the Commanders can come back from that kind of Saquon performance. But at some point, Jalen Hurts is going to have to complete some passes to some other guys and look good in the pocket, and he hasn't in the last couple of games. He just hasn't looked good. Maybe it's the leftover injuries from the concussion. Maybe it's the knee. Maybe it's a combination of stuff. I don't know. We can blame the weather. We can make a lot of excuses, but Jalen's got to play better because the other guy on the other side, Jaden Daniels, is playing out of his mind right now, and he looks like a stone cold killer. And that should strike fear in the hearts of everybody in the green.
All right, let's try to keep it in the green here and move to Jalen Hurts. Let's look at his rushing yards total. 31.5. And Joe, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the same number last week. And I was watching as he passed it and thought of you. Does he do that again today? 31.5 rushing yards, Jalen Hurts, over or under?
Yeah, you get 30.5 in some markets here. He went over this by a lot last week. Obviously, he had that one big run, so he ended up with 70. But the question is now, where are we at health-wise? So just for context, he has gone over this number every single week since week 9. Every single week, except for one against the Baltimore Ravens, where he hit 29. And that was against one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. So here we are again. Washington Commanders give up a lot of yards. If that knee is healthy enough, I imagine you got to see Jalen Hurts run early in this game to prove that to the Commanders. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm getting him out there in a design run early to say, you got to guard this now. If you don't see him do this in the first quarter, I think that says a lot. And I think that's going to tell you maybe where that health really is. And maybe we're believing some of these reports and maybe we're not. Conspiracy theories aside, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And if they tell you Jalen Hurts can run the football and he's out there in space in the first quarter, run the football looking good, we're in a good spot. If he is not doing that, I think that should change a lot of the calculus for this game. This is one of, I think, the more intriguing in-game live betting, and that's why you should stay on SportsGrid and watch the network while you're watching these games, because in-game live, I think the first quarter is going to tell you a lot about what might happen in this football game, and Hurts' health being one of those things in the first quarter too. 31.5, 30.5, whatever that number is, it's still an over for me based on what we've seen and based on what we've seen from the Commanders against the run. But at the same time, watch that first quarter very carefully.
Yeah, I'm sure our crack team will be all over that. In-game live, of course, a great staple here at SportsGrid. All right, let's talk Jaden Daniels here. There's a couple of props here, so I'll let you stretch your legs here. First, we'll go for the passing yards of 220.5. And then we'll talk about the rushing yards of 59.5. What do these numbers mean? How do they portend for the upcoming game, Joe?
Yeah, with Daniels, I know it's a really tough corner matchup. I know the Eagles' defense is really good, but I'm going to go over. The last game that he played against the Eagles, he threw for 258. And you could say, well, Jalen Hurts was in that game. I don't care. The defense is still the defense. The defense was still in that game. He threw for 258. Right. So what he's doing is he's finding the De'Ami Browns. He's finding the Zacchaeuses. He's finding the Zach Ertz. He's making everybody else better. So I think what we're looking for right here is the over on the 220.5. I think he's going to show up in the big spot. I don't think it's like a 290 game, but I think he's going to be in that 230 range when all is said and done, because he's going to have to be at some point. Also, you're going to look at the rushing yards for Jaden Daniels, 59.5, which is also a pretty big number, but he has shown you time and time again he's going to get out there in space. Right now, you're catching that number at 55.5. Now, this one is kind of spot on here. I think this is going to be an over because I think at certain times here, Jaden Daniels, because that secondary is so good, is going to have to tuck and run. Now, he has not reached this number in 3 of his last 3 games. The 3 games prior, he went over it in all 3, against New Orleans, against Philadelphia in Week 16, and against Atlanta. So coming back to that game against the Eagles where he rushed for 81 yards, I think the special sauce here is Jaden Daniels taking the ball in his hands and saying, all right, you know what? If you're going to lock down my number 1 target, I'm going to make you pay, and I'm going to be the guy that extends drives. And there's not enough guys in the field to guard everybody all the time. And Jaden Daniels has shown you, too, he's been smart enough to run with the football in a better capacity. In college, he was very bad about not taking slides, not taking the sideline. He's gotten much better about that in the NFL. That was a big question I think a lot of us had. Could he make that adjustment? And he has. So I know there's a lot of overs. We're going to get to some unders, but I think Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, the big-time players, I think, with the football in their hand are the guys you want to look for the over investments today.
All right, let's focus on some of the receivers here. Let's go to Philadelphia and take a look at A.J. Brown's reception yards total. It sits at 58.5. Joe, what does that number mean to you, and where do you sit?
Yeah, this is a tough one because, you know, you've seen this number jump all over the place. It was 58.5. And I'm seeing in some markets now, when we wake up this morning, is at 67.5. And wow. If I was under it in 58.5, I'm going to be under at 67.5, folks. Right. I mean, I don't know. I think it's the full participant news on Friday that made this number jump, but I don't know why, because he was under this against Dallas. He was under it in the wildcard game against the Packers. 10 receiving yards against the Packers without Jair Alexander on the field. 14 last week. Okay, the snow, whatever. Puka Nacua was catching balls. Mm-hmm. Something ain't right here. So put the books down. The test is over, and I think it's a failure. I think it's an under, and the higher the number, the better for me. Lock that bad boy in, and maybe AJ Brown finally has a resurgence. We'll see, but I don't know, man. I mean, there's nothing on paper right now that or visually that says this should be an over. So I'm going to invest in the under here. This is the Saquon Barkley game or bust for me.
Okay, now let's close things out by talking about a Commanders wide receiver. Terry McLaurin finally has a quarterback with whom to play. 65.5 receiving yards is the number. Joe, talk us through your thoughts.
Yeah, this is going to hurt because I love Terry McLaurin, and he had a huge game, big run after catch last week. He's the guy that makes the big plays, whether it's run after catch or there's those big bombs that Jaden Daniels has been throwing all year, especially in those fourth quarter moments. Terry McLaurin shows up in big spots. But even though that first game was a complete disaster for Terry McLaurin against the Eagles, the second one was better. It was still under the 65.5. So I'm still going to go under. Now, I think he can get in that 60 range. And of course, there's that opportunity where maybe, just maybe, he has that one big play and it changes the dynamic. Right now, you've seen this number even go down to 62.5. That's intriguing to me. If you see this number drop below 62.5 in the next couple hours, maybe I would pounce on it because he's been that big of a player for Jaden Daniels. But right now, I think it's got to be an under. Doesn't mean he can't catch a touchdown. It doesn't mean the Commanders can't win this football game. But I will say this, you have to respect Cooper DeJean. You have to respect Quinion Mitchell. What you're going to see is more Terry McLaurin moving around the field like he did in that second game, and that could be the secret sauce if he does go over. More props when we return. Chiefs-Bills. Don't go anywhere.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia giving you everything you need in order to dominate. And the response on social media was so overwhelming with regards to fantasy over-under. We're going to carry the segment over into this one here. We have focused on the Washington-Philadelphia game, but as many of you astutely pointed out on social media, there's another game. Joe, if these folks on social media didn't point it out to me, I would have completely forgotten that there was another game involving the Bills and the Chiefs. If you're picking up my sarcasm, Good for you. All right, let's go to the over-under here, because what I like about this is it's a lot of the marquee names. Now, we said that this is, outside of the Super Bowl, the most wagered upon weekend in football, and we need to fade the noise. You got names like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce out there. When my mom is aware of something, that tells me that it's made its way to the public. Oh, Matthew, what do you think of this Patrick Mahomes fella? So that's why I want to be really cautious here. Let's go to Patrick Mahomes, 254.5 passing yards prop here. Does he go over or under, and why?
I think we need to get her on a segment next week. You know, a little Super Bowl preview with Matt's mom. We should get both moms on the show. Get both moms on the show. Lord. Let the moms pick the Super Bowl.
Segment will run 12 minutes.
Well, I was going to say, fill time. It'll make it easier on us. And then if they're right, then everybody will want to know, what are the moms thinking in 2026? We're going to have the whole thing. You know, it's like, you know, whenever you have like the animal at the zoo who points to the right Super Bowl thing 3 years in a row, and then everyone's like dying to find out what does Juju the panda think about the Super Bowl. Well, there you go. That's going to be the segment. All right, let's start with Patrick Mahomes. 254.5. What does he know? 254.5 is the number. In some markets, this number has gone up though to 259.5. So what does that tell us? Well, I was already on the over, and it looks like a lot of other people are starting to listen. Go back to the stats I gave you earlier in the show. Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs against the Bills, 79 for 105, 918 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, no picks, 93 rushing yards, a passing rating of 126.6. He's been great against the Bills, and Josh Allen's going to challenge him. I don't see a situation where Josh Allen isn't challenging in this game, and that's a big part of this Mahomes over. And also the recent trend, when you get healthy, right, against the Houston Texans in Week 16, 260 yards from Pat Mahomes, 320 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, right, in Week 17. So you start to see a better version of Patrick Mahomes here, as, guess what, Hollywood Brown came back, and Pacheco came back, and the offense came back. And if Travis Kelce is going to play like he did last week, guess what? He's going to be very close to this number again. Now, I know last week was a little underwhelming, but that was really because of that pass rush. The Buffalo pass rush is not the same. Not even the same universe as the Houston Texans and Will Anderson in that group. Not even close. So Mahomes will have more time in the pocket. He is going to get challenged by Josh Allen. I think this one does not underwhelm. Chiefs-Bills typically is about as fun as it gets. It's like arcade football, and I think this is going to be another one of those. So give me Patrick Mahomes with the over on the passing yards.
All right, let's move on from Patrick Mahomes. The next logical name is Travis Kelce. And as Joe feels about Aaron Rodgers is how I'm starting to feel about Travis Kelce. But 69.5 receiving yards is the number. Over or under, Joe, and why?
Why? Because he's really nice, and he's pleasant to everybody, and he has a nice podcast with his brother, and he has fun.
I see through it all. I think he's bought and paid.
Oh,
but that's not the time for the conversation. Let's talk Travis Kelce.
Please. Travis Kelce doesn't have a different gear in him except to be Travis Kelce. He is a good dude, and everybody that's ever talked about him that I know has ever met him or socialized with him, good dude. So let's just say what it is. It's okay to be a good dude and actually like come off as a good dude. It's okay.
But not be bought and paid for and have to dictate things to other people. But again, this isn't the time for the conversation.
How did I get on this show? That's how I got on this show. Was I was just bought and paid for it.
I don't think you were given
69.5 is the number. Well, I settled for half that. 69.5 is the number here for Travis Kelce. Again, I'm going to go back to some stats for Travis Kelce. Yeah, there's a switch, and yeah, it flips. Travis Kelce, the first player in NFL history to have 70-plus receiving yards in 14 straight playoff games. So, ironically, this number is set, what? It's 69.5. God, what a shocking number for Vegas to put up there. The second longest streak, by the way, was Antonio Brown with 7. Now, you might say he is not the best guy. That is fair. Travis Kelce, again, this is what it's all about for Travis Kelce. Getting back to one more Super Bowl, coming down with one more ring, having that three-peat. This was on their mind from the minute the last Super Bowl was over till now. This is that goal that they've set for themselves to become a legendary legacy organization here, a true dynasty in every sense of the word. And one of those ones we'll talk about with the Steelers and with the Patriots and with the 49ers of yesteryear in the 80s. This is what we're going to come to. And I think, once again, you want to go over. If I'm over with Mahomes, I'm over with Kelce. He looked great last week. And having more help around him certainly aids Travis Kelce at his age. So give me the over on Kelce, 69.5 again, and keep the streak alive.
All right, let's talk about Josh Allen and his passing yard prop here this afternoon. It's set at 224.5. Does he go over or under, and why?
I'm going to go over on this one. Once again, they push each other, and I think that Bills defense, unfortunately, keeps giving up points, keeps giving up drives, in which case Josh Allen has to keep making some plays here. They are really good against the run, too, so I think they contain James Cook in this game. They're going to put pressure on Josh Allen. Josh Allen's going to have to throw, and I think 224.5 is just too low of a number, so I'm going to get the over on Josh Allen's passing yards as well. So I expect points. I expect an over in this game, but how we get there is going to be an interesting run, I can tell you that.
All right, for now, what I think might be the sneakiest play on the board, we're going to go to Xavier Worthy, and we're going to look at his receptions. 4.5 receptions, over or under. While everyone is looking at Mahomes and Allen and Kelsey, I really like this, Joe, so I want to hear from you.
Well, I think you want to keep getting the ball in Xavier Worthy's hands. And you started to see that last week, and you started to see towards the second half of the year Worthy start to clean up some of the mistakes that he was making early in the season. I mean, he's a rookie, right? I think you look back at his rookie numbers, and we talked about him last week. It's kind of what you expected. But now that you've got all these other guys to account for, right? Hollywood's on the field. You got Hopkins on the field, Pacheco back. I think Worthy becomes really dangerous. So this is where he can shine, taking the top off of defense, being a guy that can beat the coverage. And I don't think the Buffalo Bills have a guy that can keep pace with Xavier Worthy. So I don't think this is like a 10-catch game, but I do think he can get to 5 or 6 for sure. And last but not least, too, James Cook, 54.5 rushing yards. It's been a boom or bust thing. You've been trying to run the football more with Buffalo. That's great. But I think running the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs has proven to be a futile act. So I think it's going to be a really tough day at the office for James Cook. I think you'll see Josh Allen with the ball in his hand, and I think you're going to see them trying to make big plays that way. So give me the under on James Cook. We come back, a 3 and out on Championship Sunday. Don't miss this.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports. Today, Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia with you here. And folks, I got to tell you, I say it all the time. One thing I love is discourse, especially discourse with an intelligent person. And Joe, that's why I truly appreciate you. It is time for 3 and out. And before we get there, just quickly, people are hitting me up on social media. I asked Joey P who he thinks is winning today. Joe, I do believe you said the Commanders and the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Eagles and the Bills. All right, let's get to 3.
There you go. Ooh, let's see. Eagles, Bills. So who wins that Super Bowl? Bills or Eagles? Just curious.
Comes down to the last play. I'd say the Bills.
Okay, so Bills to beat the Eagles is plus 430 on the board. If you like the Bills to beat the Commanders in the Super Bowl, again, these are the exactas, right? This is like the exact outcome we're looking for the Super Bowl, which is where you can make the most money right now at this very juncture. If you think that the Commanders can get there, again, I have a bet for everybody. I talked about it kind of at the top of the show. You have the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Eagles at plus 350, right? If you think the Chiefs are going to get in there, right? But if you think the Commanders are going to get in there, Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Washington Commanders at plus 750. The Bills to beat the Commanders, if you think there's an upset today, plus 850. So basically what you're doing is if you just knock them down by 100, let's say, right? If you're betting one unit there, you're still getting a massive return if you're right. If the Commanders make it and then lose to one of these probably superior AFC teams with more experience, can a rookie quarterback get to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I don't see why not. Can they win the Super Bowl? That's a different conversation because that's 2 weeks of bombardment of media. It's a very weird situation. It's a lot of stuff coming at you. And I think that's tough for any player in their first Super Bowl, let alone their first season in the league. I think that would be a lot. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't want an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl again. I'd rather have the Bills get in there if the Eagles get in there, just something to shake it up. But I think we're going to get the Chiefs because until I'm proven otherwise, the Chiefs just keep winning and they keep having an easy road to the Super Bowl. And I appreciate you too, Matt Stryker. I love you very much. It's very nice to do this show with you every single week for, I don't know, the last 5 years. And we've got baseball. So Matt Stryker is going to come to life in a couple weeks and be so excited about baseball. It's going to knock your socks off. Let's talk about the Magic, though, because your Commanders, that's right, Matt Stryker still doesn't know what to do with himself. How are you processing all of this winning that the Commanders are doing? Is it started? Have you been able to enjoy it at all?
Yes. So here's the unpopular answer here is I'm a 50-year-old man. It's just a game. I constantly say this all the time. Yeah, it's nice to see, but at this point in my life, I have many, many other priorities. But it's nice to see some parity in the league. It's nice to see the Commanders. I grew up loving this team. I'm going to date myself here. Joe Theismann, Mark Rippon, Art Monk, Gary Clark, John Riggins, on and on. So it's very nice to see for the team. But like I said, there are certain responsibilities that far outweigh a game for me.
Joe? Luke, I want you to clip this because when Matt starts coaching T-ball in 2 years and the speeches he gives in the dugout, tell me it's just a game then. Tell me it's just a game when he's out there and he's throwing hats around. He's arguing with umpires at the T-ball game.
Steve Martin in Parenthood. No. It's just a game. Just go out and have fun. Good for you to get that reference, by the way. Okay, we're looking forward to Jaden.
It's going to change. The minute he gets on that T-ball field, the juices are going to start flowing there. Little Johnny comes around. He was safe. He's throwing hats. He's kicking dirt. It's going to be a whole other thing. What's true, just like that, magical moment's going to happen. Jaden Daniels and the Magic has been spectacular. I thought he had a chance against the Buccaneers. I really did. And he won that football game. I honestly did not think they had the best chance in the world. I thought they were going to be competitive against the Lions. But Jaden Daniels and the Commanders just came out and smoked them. So the Eagles have got to be careful here because if they think that they are impervious to the Commanders because they've beaten them twice, that's dangerous. And then you have to also wonder the fact, like, how many times, in the same division, these teams are built to play each other. This is why things get really interesting. And in fact, you might even want to shade the under in this game. That's one thing we didn't talk too much about, but because of the familiarity, I know there's been some bigger scores and, in the last game too, things got a little crazy there. I wonder if this game plays a little tighter because of the familiarity. It's going to be fascinating to see how they handle Saquon Barkley. Again, it's all about containing him. Make Jalen Hurts beat you. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if he can. Jaden Daniels can. And if the Eagles aren't careful, he might. Jalen Hurts' health is a big issue, too, to watch. I would very much be interested in holding my investments in this game and watching the first drive or two to see how good Jalen Hurts' knee really is. And then lastly, can Buffalo finally exercise the demons? Lamar was kind of on that revenge tour, and then it came up a little short, unfortunately. This has been that Josh Allen year, but the one thing we know is that Josh Allen is the MVP, and it seems like he might just be. It doesn't usually go well for the MVPs in terms of winning Super Bowls, so keep that in mind. History is not on Josh Allen's side. Stay with us for SportsGrid for all of our coverage on Championship Sunday. That'll do it for us. We'll see you next time, kids.